Channel of Canada. I am here in Brantford, Ontario at the JJ Raining Steel City Slide this August. Beautiful Sunday here, and I've met so many amazing people. I've got to see so many great horses. I'm here with Britt from Britt's Corner Tack. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me and to talk a little bit about yourself and your business. And I'm always so happy to meet Canadian women that are entrepreneurs like yourself. So thank you so much for taking the time. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
This is really fun. So I'm Britt from Britt's Corner Tack, and I have a mobile tack store and saddle fitting business in Ontario.
Whereabouts are you based out of? Like, where did you grow up? Like, what was your family background? Like, here in Ontario, or?
It was. So I grew up actually in Orangeville, Ontario.
Beautiful.
And I actually grew up riding English horses. So I didn't switch over into Western until later on.
Cool.
But that was my background growing up.
Yeah.
And I started riding when I was 4 and competed in a little bit of hunter jumper and dressage.
Nice.
And
just here in Ontario, or did you do it even like bigger?
So I just did it here in Ontario, and then when I moved out to Alberta to go to school, there just wasn't as much English riding out there. So I took the plunge and changed into Western.
Wow. So Alberta, whereabouts in Alberta? You moved out there to live with your family? Or?
No, just by myself.
Oh, wow.
So I went to Olds College out there.
Fantastic.
It was a really neat experience. Yeah. So I took agriculture management, so not anything horse related really. Yeah. But I certainly learned a lot on the business aspect of things there.
Nice.
And started selling agricultural inputs, so fertilizer, chemical, and seed.
That's kind of cool. So is that more of like a technical program, like where you have to learn a lot more science, I would imagine?
There's a bit of science to it, and then there's the business aspect of it as well.
Wow.
So it was a really interesting program to take.
Yeah.
It was fun. And out there, of course, it's pretty well horse country.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Well, if you have a quick look back at the Cowgirl Channel of Canada, we have a couple of young ladies that actually were in the beginning of the show, and I think I have two that actually went to Olds College for totally different programs as well. So that's really cool. And I think one lady, Anna Gimlet, that I interviewed, hi Anna, her husband and her met there and are still together. So fantastic. He was doing the farrier program and she was in the equine program. That's where they met. Now they have a business together. It's called AK Equine. It's really cool. They're amazing people. But that's really interesting. And how long was your program for? Was it 2 years or just?
I just took a 2-year program.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And growing up, where would you say was kind of your interest to lean over and to fall into out of English riding into Western?
I guess I just kind of decided when I was out there, this is kind of something interesting that I can learn. And I always take every opportunity to learn. So that was one of those things where I was offered the opportunity and I thought, okay, let's do it.
Anybody else in your family ride or have horses? Did you have like a farm or have your horses away from you, like growing up?
So I grew up riding at a farm that wasn't too far from us, and I grew up riding with my sister. So the two of us rode all the time, so we were competitive against each other all the time.
I have a sister like that too.
But yes, no, we grew up doing that. Cool. She's since gotten out of horses, and I just got a little deeper into them.
Awesome. Wow, fantastic. I think some of the times too, as we grow and as we change, like even if you start off early, like you said, 4, that's pretty early to start off, having confidence about a horse and understanding it. And, people that are in seasoned or in their older adult life and always wanted to have horses, it's amazing to see the difference in their character in regards to the confidence that they have. So was that one thing you could say that kind of gave you a little bit of confidence to do other things in life, was to handle horses like from 4 up?
Right. So you're not really as fearful maybe as you would be, right? These big horses, and I walk into a barn, and whether it's like a small little pony quarter horse or whether it's
you know where you are,
a big draft horse, I'm like, okay, it doesn't it's not too phasing anymore. And if the horse is kind of acting up, you just take your time and figure that out for the fitting part of it. And here it's just normal to see horses walking by. You're not.
Yeah. That's kind of cool. That's one of the things too that I really love about the equine industry, is that even if like you're doing something else now in a different aspect of the industry, and other people that are actively involved in the industry doing other things, we all kind of connect on some form of level. And then like your confidence in what you're doing, you could walk into a facility or a barn somewhere and help somebody out that's like, nervous or afraid or just got into horses or something like that. So that's kind of cool. And your sister and you competed together at like different like events and stuff like that. So what was some of that like? Was there any fun things that happened or an interesting story about a pony or something that you have a memory of that one horse that one day?
Well, we always just, we always kind of competed against each other until I started to do the dressage and she got more into the jumper stuff. And so then it became a whole like picking at each other every time. She'd be like, well, I'm so much better at jumpers than you. So, but it didn't really matter because I was so much better at the dressage side. So we just kind of made fun of each other that way. And
cool. And picked each other's brains, I would imagine too. Like, did you find that there were some things that you learned from the dressage discipline that kind of helped her or vice versa?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then tack was always a big thing. So in our spare time, we would always clean tack and sit there and look at different tack catalogs. And if we had a weekend or a Saturday with nothing going on, we'd go to our tack stores. So that was always our thing.
Cool.
So pretty fun.
Oh, big shout out to your sister. What's your sister's name?
Jessica.
Hi, Jessica. You helped this lady, and in that, I would imagine that kind of transpired into some of what you're doing today. So before we get too much involved in that, tell us a little bit about something that maybe was a shift or change in your life that kind of created some struggle for you that, you had to kind of persevere through to get where you are today.
So I guess about just over 5 years ago, I found out I was losing my hearing. So I had decided to move home to be a little bit closer to family. And so that has changed from when I was living in Alberta to move back home to Ontario. But otherwise, I never would have started this. So I'm really fortunate to be back here and just using this as an opportunity to work for myself and be able to take time and do what I love and just kind of be back here to do that.
And be with your family.
Absolutely. So it brings me closer back to them and I can kind of be where there's a little bit more support, and that's nice. That's
fantastic. And you know what? It's so important for us to understand that some of the struggles and some of the challenges that we face in life, whether it's early in life, like some ladies I met this morning, and we can revisit and go all the way back in our adult life, we want to be able to take that and whatever that struggle is or whatever that circumstances that shifts us or makes us second guess what we're doing, it's an opportunity for you to learn and to grow with that mistake or with that change or shift in your life. And I love when exactly what you just said. It's so important. Like, if that hadn't happened to you, you wouldn't have came back and you wouldn't be doing what you are doing today. Tell us about what you're doing today.
So
this is so cool.
I'm really excited actually because I think this is a neat thing. So I've set up a saddle fitting for Western and tack store business. So I'm completely mobile. I don't have a brick and mortar location, which poses some challenges, but overall, like, I get to travel. I have the coolest job.
Yeah.
Aside from you, maybe. I honestly have the coolest job because I just pack my trailer up, hook my truck on, and off I go. And during the week, I just take my truck, I load it. I can now fit 18 saddles in the back seat of my truck.
Beautiful.
So I can do that, and I just pack it with pads and cinches and saddles, and off I go. I hit the road. So I'm pretty well on the road every day. Get to spend every day with horse people and horses. And I absolutely love it. It is. It's
a blessing. Well, we're here. We're actually in your mobile unit now. And I had an opportunity to meet you yesterday, and we talked briefly. And it was an opportunity for me to do some filming. It's such a great setup you have. It's very aesthetically pleasing. You have so much gear and everything here. Tell us a little bit about like how you built up your supply and what you're looking for and what your clients are looking for. More importantly, when you go to events like this, what's like one of your best sellers?
Sure. So I have a few brands that I'm fortunate enough to carry, and I always like to have things in here that people forget or they may lose. So your Rowells and your Chicago Screws and your Latigos and your things like that. But I also try to do some fun things that other people might not carry. So I do a lot of the Professional's Choice Classic Equine. I have some Canadian Bozels and Romels, and those are from Lane Thiessen. I have fortunate enough to carry cut and up saddle blankets.
Okay.
And they're absolutely fantastic. They do bags and blankets, and I do a little bit of grooming stuff.
These bags here, which I'm probably going to go home with one. Love these. Beautiful stuff you have here. Tell us a little tiny bit more about the saddle fitting. Like, how did you get more involved in that? Like, that's very interesting, because I have people contact me all the time as a clinician, and I teach and I'm traveling, and not just here in Ontario, but all across Canada. And it's a fairly important job, because it's so important that we have a good fitting saddle. And somebody once told me, you know, you need to have a custom saddle for it to work really well. But if you have a really good made saddle and it fits well, you can adjust with saddle pads. Is that actually a little bit true? Or tell us a little bit more about it, because I don't know. I'd love to know.
You can do a little bit of that. So I learned a bit of this by working in Alberta in a tack store there. Okay. So I did learn a bit there, but then in addition to that, I've tried to take as many courses as I can and try to further that way. And I've seen quite a few horses. So the more hands-on you are, the more you learn. Right. And the more you know about saddle brands, the better equipped you are to actually get out there and do that. So I also work with a couple of vets on a regular basis to just keep in check and make sure everything's good there. Yeah. But saddle pads are a tough thing for me, because a good saddle pad, I always like to think of it this way. If you have an excellent pair of shoes, but you're wearing a terrible pair of socks, your shoes are never going to be comfortable. Right. But if you have like a terrible pair of shoes and an excellent pair of socks, it brings it up slightly. Okay. There's nothing we can do to actually fix that saddle with a pad completely. Good to know. Yep. But there's certainly a space for a good pad makes a good fitting saddle. Right. Like everything works together. Right. So it's all a system, and it's actually all about balance. Okay. So there's a lot to learn from saddle fitting too about how everything works, right? So if it's not balanced, it doesn't work. And it's the same thing with everything. Wow.
And you know, so and more importantly, so and I mean not more on the negative side, but it can over time change the health of the horse, right? For a badly fitted saddle. And so tell us a little bit more about that, like what kind of things you can do to prevent that.
So the thing is getting your saddle checked, right? Okay. That's the first thing. Okay. The second thing is like saddle placement, cinch, and pad all have things to do with it. Right. So if you can kind of improve those things over time, and I tell people all the time, don't get attached to your tack. Okay. Because as much as we might love it, we do. We tend to be like, this is my favorite saddle, this is what I've ridden in for the last 10 years.
I have one at home. It's a Circle Y saddle. I've had it since I shown like 20 years ago. And I tell people all the time, like, it's like, you know, when you go to like a baby shower or something and there's a jar and it's full of jelly beans, I ask people, like, sometimes jokingly, how many horses has this saddle been on and how many places has this saddle been, kind of thing. But so that one is my favorite, but I guess maybe I'll have to invest in another one soon.
So it's just about kind of you always want to upgrade, right? So it's like everything. Okay. You can keep that car, but for the next 20 years, if you take care of it, but it's not necessarily going to do the same job as it did 20 years ago when you started. Okay. So it's just about kind of upgrading and keeping it going. And primarily the horse is at the bottom of it, right? So you need to make sure that we're asking our horse to perform, and can they get that extra 10% of performance out of them if you have something that works better with them, right? You'd never ask a marathon runner to run in shoes that don't fit.
Exactly. Or in high heels.
Yeah, that would be a fun one.
Well, you know what? I think that, and you're such a beautiful person inside and out, and I'm so happy for you and what you're doing and your success. And I know that you do have some other events and venues that you go to. This one, I think, I'm not sure, were you here last year with these ladies? Or was this your first time?
This is my first time out of reining, actually. So
fantastic.
It's actually been really fun to be able to meet a whole bunch of new people. Yeah. So I've been to some cutting shows, some cow horse shows. Nice. Extreme Cowboy, the roping. They're some of my favorites as well. So I kind of just go around, and if people ask, then I just go.
How would someone reach out to you and hire you essentially to come to their event?
Sure. So I actually come without a charge, which is kind of fun. So that's the first thing. But
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
And I've through either email or phone as well. Like
Yeah.
I do that. I try to keep on top of my inquiries, but
Yeah.
usually my hands are on a horse or on a steering wheel. So
Perfect.
that is a juggle.
That's perfect, though. And that's the one thing, a lot of young women that are in business for themselves, and myself personally, I take some time when I can to get back to people. And I tell people all the time, I will get back to you. I'm just not 100% sure. It's like doing an event like this. You're committed, you're at the event. And I think a lot of people that are very interested in what you're doing or want to reach out to you, they'll respect that, right? Because you're in business for yourself and you're trying to do something and you're trying to do your job really well, and so they understand that, right? You're at events during the weekend and she'll get back to you during the weekdays when she's not driving or riding. So yeah, that's fantastic. Is there something you would like to share with some of our viewers, our young women in particular, or even women that are, older, that are, doing a complete life switch change, not even about horses. They're doing something completely different, something that they've dreamed of doing. What's some advice you'd give somebody about how to get where you are today with your business?
Just keep working at it.
Yeah.
Just perseverance is key, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's perseverance over perfection.
Yeah.
And
Beautiful.
yes.
I
and
love that.
That is always my thing when things aren't going 100%.
Yeah.
It's just like perseverance over perfection,
Yeah.
and you'll get there. It's never an easy task. There's things, but you're the one that sees the most mistakes
Right.
about you, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
just keep going. And at first I was one of those people where I was like, unless the trailer is absolutely perfect, I can't open the doors.
Yeah.
And now I open the doors and I'm like, come on in, I'm here. You might have to step over a couple things, but come on in, right? And so you just learn that
Yeah.
sometimes to keep moving forward is actually better than just making sure everything is absolutely perfect.
Yeah, because we're all striving for that, and I'm totally that too. I was like that about this event and about the shows and about the show I'm doing. Well, Britt, it's been so great to be here with you. And anybody, if you're interested, I'm going to have all of Britt's information, and I'm certainly going to do a little bit of shopping before I leave today and talk to Britt a little bit more. She's got to get going, and I've got to get going, but she's got customers to deal with, and you're just fantastic. Thank you so much, and congratulations about all the success you're going to have. This is such a beautiful setup you have, and please be careful on the roads wherever you're going, and please say hi to Britt the next time you see her at one of your events.
Yeah, come on out. There's always chairs and a cooler here, so
Yes.
you're welcome, and I really appreciate what you're doing. It's been fantastic.
Thank you so much. Oh,
Thank
you're
you.
such a sweetie. Oh, thanks everybody. Thanks.
That was super.